So we are here to talk about Marvel's Spider-Man, or just Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1, which was made by Neversoft and published by Activision. But before we get into that, we have to take a little bit of a trip through time to the good old year 2000. So this was a big event. We lived to see the year 2000, considering in 1999, we were convinced that we were gonna die, blow up, jets fall from the sky. I don't even know what was gonna happen, but this was a real thing. Some of you young people might not know this. We were afraid of Y2K. The most popular music at the time was the likes of Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys. Wrestling was currently at its hottest, WCW versus WWF, but we'll talk about that in another video. And of course, video games were all the rage. They were finally mainstream. Everybody was a gamer. Spider-Man released at the end of August, 6 days before my birthday on September 6th. I remember it literally just like it was yesterday. All I wanted for my birthday was Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1. I remember seeing the commercials and being so hyped for this. It's all I talked about. My parents got it for me. It was the first week of school. Literally all my friends were coming over to see me play this new game. Having only moved to the United States a few years ago, this was my character. I was finally going to step into the shoes of the web crawler and play in this grand scope story. Now, of course, right when I moved to the United States, it was all about Spider-Man. Spider-Man, the animated series, was right there. It got me right into the character. So having this game that looked like it was based on it was exactly what I needed. So I jumped right in. And right from the opening, when that music hits, I knew I was in for a ride. The main menu, very awesome looking. From various cool things like being able to look at bios of characters to finally starting up the game. Now, of course, you have your difficulties, hard, normal, easy, and kid mode. And I thought this was something really awesome. If you go to kid mode, it plays an interesting little tune. And every time you try it again, it's gonna play it with a different character's voice.
Kid mode.
Kid mode.
Kid mode.
Kid mode. Kid mode.
So finally, you select your difficulty and you get going and you have this.
Technology is the light that will cut through the darkness. When humanity conforms to a single truth, a truth based in technological progress and scientific method, we will be unstoppable. I, Dr. Otto Octavius.
Awesome cutscenes that put you right into the action. And the story starts with Otto Octavius. They're setting him up as the villain here, and he releases this chemical that engulfs New York City. Now, of course, we know that this was actually a genius way to use the limitation of the PlayStation 1 to hide that, in fact, it's not a huge open city. After the cutscene, you get going into the game, and you're greeted by Stan Lee.
Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee here.
It's kind of hard not to get emotional when you hear Stan Lee intro right now. You know, at the time, I barely knew who he was. I knew he was important, and I knew he was important to Spider-Man. But now, you just kind of get engulfed with emotion, and you start just thinking about all the great memories that are created in your life because of this guy, and of course others that helped contribute to Marvel.
Slinging, wall-crawling action.
So we start off, Spider-Man is climbing up the wall, and there she is,
Hey, Spider.
the Black Cat. Now, for anybody that follows me on social media, or my wife, you know I love Black Cat. You know she loves Black Cat. My wife cosplays Black Cat. I, of course, do Spider-Man for some charity events. So this was really it. I loved Black Cat in the animated series, but seeing her here as well, I was now officially in. This was my crush. And also, she pops up to actually help you as you hit these question marks around here. Thus, these are little tutorials that kind of get you into the game, teaching you how to swing, teaching you how to replenish your web, of course, how to restore health, and so forth. So you're going to keep going down the level. You, of course, have various things you can do, such as webbing, web shields, put webs on your fists for more damage, and of course, you gotta fight the thugs. In the first mission, you're on your way to the bank because there's a heist going on, and there's even a few little Easter eggs here. The Baxter Building right there in the distance, and even a billboard for a biography of the one Cletus Cassidy. aka Carnage, and this is kind of foreshadowing what's about to come. So as you're playing the game, you're going to be doing a lot of this. You're swinging just like this in third-person mode. You're also going to be running against time in some cases, like an example when you're trying to get to the Scorpion as he's about to attack J. Jonah Jameson. Now, if you look at that bar, that thing is moving slow, so I don't know why it's taking him forever to walk, but either way. And as you just saw, a new suit. And this game has a ton of unlockable suits. Just check it out right here. From the black suit to various other things like 2099, Ben Reilly, and so forth. Including one of my favorites, Spider-Man Unlimited, which of course was a cartoon that just recently debuted on TV, so I was all about that. And the suit can actually turn invisible. Each one has special attributes. So then, of course, there's boss fights. And not just the ones you expect, like Doc Ock or even Venom, because he was heavily advertised. Oh no, you're going to be fighting way more than that. The likes of Rhino also appears in this, and you get to fight him. Did he just spear her in the ass? Wow, I guess he was horny for her. God, that one hurt. That was so, I can't believe I actually wrote that. Anyway, you have to outsmart him. It's basic puzzles, but at the time, this was awesome. There's also levels where you have to run from the likes of choppers shooting at you. These things will induce anxiety. Not as something as I'll talk about later on, which is much worse on you, but hey, it happens. And then after you beat this, then you gotta climb a building while they try to shoot the floors out from underneath you. Yep, this also induces a lot of stress, but hey, variations of gameplay was always welcome, and I thought this was absolutely awesome. So when the plot starts to unfold, you see that it's not just Doc Ock, there's Venom. There is Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, who's kind of behind everything that's going on right now. You're going to go from various locations, not just from inside of buildings or swinging above them. You're also going to go into the sewers. You're going to go and fight in various other locations, like inside the Daily Bugle, which is infested by symbiotes. You're going to face villains like Scorpion, as I mentioned before, also Mysterio, Doc Ock, and even Venom and Carnage themselves. The Venom battle in particular, I absolutely freaked out. I remember the first time I played, I was just like taken away. It was so cool to see this character I absolutely loved in the animated series. Finally, I get to take him down. It was so great. And what was even better at this time was being a Spider-Man fan. After that great cartoon, which was still doing reruns, we had this game to play. And rumors started, and we got our first glimpses of what was coming out with Spider-Man 1 by Sam Raimi. Spider-Man was at an all-time high. I remember being in middle school. I remember talking to everybody. People wanted to see this game. People wanted to play it. I would have my friend John come over a couple times a week, and we would literally just sit there and play this game. And you're probably wondering, how could you just keep playing this? Well, there was other things to do. Time trials, races, there was so much content to do and so much content to see that we really didn't get bored. And you have to think, this is way back in the day. The internet was still on 56K modem. It took forever to load something. We didn't know what was coming out, so we just had like 3 to 4 games a year to play if you were lucky. So we had to invest, and hopefully we got the right thing. And Spider-Man was really everything you could want. If you wanted to dig deeper and be a completionist, if you dove really into the game and you found the little hidden things like actual comic book covers, they unlocked some info so you could go read it. At the time, of course, I didn't have a lot of money, so I thought it was awesome to collect all of these and do everything just to get really everything out of this game. So I felt like I was more in the know about Spider-Man than the average kid in school, which of course made me a super nerd, but hey, here I am on YouTube making comic book videos, so I guess I kind of won. Now, ultimately, you get to fight Carnage, and he's pretty awesome. You have to outsmart him. You have to toss him into the little sound waves. You have to beat the hell out of him, and you think you won. You didn't. You remember Sonic, playing Sonic when he's underwater, and you start panicking, like you want to shut the system off because you can't handle it because it's inducing massive panic, and you're just like, oh god, I gotta get the air bubble. That's this. That's how this game decides to give you the last level. You have to run from Ock Carnage as he's chasing you. You're just like, and I'm like, I don't know, 9 years old or something. I can't handle this. My heart can't handle this. This is why I have anxiety. It's this level. But when you finally get to beat it, it's awesome. The payoff is there. And then, this was my first real big my mind is blown. I knew about the Marvel characters. I knew there was a little logo there, Marvel. But when Captain America shows up, along with Black Cat and Venom. Then you get a great post-credit scene, not only with the heroes, not only is Daredevil there, and Punisher, and they're playing cards, you get one with the villains as well. And I always found it funny that Mysterio, my favorite Spider-Man villain, has a chick with a Mysterio bowl on her head in a bikini. I absolutely lost it. You know, this game to me encompasses so much of my childhood, and really going into my teen years at the time. It was so important to me. It's one of these games that when I think of PlayStation 1, it's one of the first things that pops in my mind. I remember I still own them. They're in storage, but I have the Game Pros and the old EGMs, Electronic Gaming Monthly, with the covers. I used to bring these to school, read them during lunch. I have some of my best friends today that remember me as the Spider-Man and Tomb Raider kid, because that's what I would have. You know, I would carry these along with some wrestling strategy guides, and I would just study them, try to get everything perfect. This was my childhood. I absolutely love this game. If you've never played it, you owe it to yourself to go try to pick up a copy and play it. It's like $20 at most. You will not regret this game.